deep within the outskirts of town, where the trees grew thick and the air hung heavy. There was a forest no one dared enter after dark. Locals called it the Hollow Woods, and for generations it had been the source of missing persons, eerie whispers, and strange shadows moving between the trees. Leon, a skeptic and avid explorer, dismissed these tales as mere superstition, determined to prove the legends wrong. He set off into the forest one evening, armed with nothing but a flashlight, a camera, and an unsettling sense of curiosity. As he ventured deeper, the air turned colder. The sound of chirping crickets and rustling leaves faded into an eerie silence. A whisper brushed against his ear, too soft to understand, but too distinct to ignore. He stopped. The beam of his flashlight wavered over the gnarled trees. The whispering grew louder, carrying with it a sense of despair. Then he saw it. A figure stood between the trees, a shape so dark it seemed to consume the very light around it. It had no face, no features, just an emptiness that sent ice through Leon's veins. The longer he stared, the more he felt his mind unraveling, as if something unseen was clawing into his thoughts. Leon took a step back, his breath shallow. The figure remained motionless, yet the whispering grew more frantic, like countless voices overlapping, calling out in agony. Then, among the chaos, one voice became clear. It whispered his name. Leon's stomach dropped. He had told no one he was coming here. No one should have known. The sound of his own name, carried on the wind, made his blood run cold. He turned to run, but his legs felt like lead. The trees around him seemed to shift, their trunks twisting unnaturally. The figure was closer now, though it had not moved. His flashlight flickered, and then it was gone. The whispering stopped, replaced by a deafening silence. Leon stumbled backward, his chest heaving, and sprinted back toward the entrance of the forest. But the path was gone. The trees had changed. Leon ran blindly, branches clawing at his skin, his breath ragged. Every turn led him deeper into the maze of trees. The darkness pressing in on all sides, the whispers followed, murmuring just beyond his understanding, filling his head with a growing dread. Then he saw the cabin. A decrepit wooden shack stood between the trees, its windows boarded up, its door slightly ajar. Desperate, he bolted inside, slamming the door shut behind him. The air inside was thick with dust and decay. Old furniture, draped in white sheets, lined the walls. Faint candlelight flickered from a corner, illuminating a small wooden table. On the table lay a single book, a journal. Leon hesitated before picking it up. The cover was brittle, the pages yellow with age. The first entry was dated nearly a century ago.
I hear it whisper my name. It watches from the trees. It waits.
Leon turned the page.
I ran to the cabin. I thought I was safe, but it followed.
His breath hitched. The handwriting was erratic, as if written in a panic. He flipped to the last entry.
It has no name, no face, no mercy. I see it in the reflection.
Leon froze. Something moved in the corner of his eye. His gaze flickered to the cracked mirror hanging on the wall, and in the reflection, the shadow stood right behind him. Leon's scream never left his throat. The figure loomed, tendrils of darkness slithering toward him. The room seemed to bend, the walls twisting, the candlelight flickering violently. He bolted for the door, but the moment he touched the handle, the whispers returned.
Don't leave. Stay. Join us.
His vision blurred as shadows slithered up the walls, stretching toward him. He fell back, his body trembling, his mind screaming to wake up from whatever nightmare this was. The journal lay open on the floor beside him. The ink on the last page shifted, the words rewriting themselves before his very eyes. It has found you. Leon clawed at the walls, his nails splintering against the wood. The darkness engulfed him, cold hands wrapping around his throat, pulling him into the abyss. Days passed, weeks. Leon was never seen again. The town whispered of his disappearance, another soul lost to the hollow woods. His belongings were found just outside the forest, his camera, his flashlight, his notebook, but no trace of Leon himself remained. The legend continued, passed on through hushed voices, warnings to stay away, to never enter the woods alone. But something changed. People in town began hearing their names whispered at night, carried by the wind. A dark figure was seen standing at the edge of the woods, unmoving, watching. One night, a curious teenager found Leon's notebook and flipped through its pages. At first, it was empty until, slowly, ink bled through the paper. A single phrase appeared at the bottom of the last page. It knows your name. The wind outside whispered, carrying something else now. A breath against his ear, a presence behind him. His skin prickled as the air turned unbearably cold. The boys felt his heart stop. In the window's reflection, just behind him, the shadow stood waiting, and somewhere in the woods it smiled. The town would soon whisper another name, another disappearance, another victim.